get Pete Prisco in here. Pete, your reaction to Sean Payton stepping away for now?
Well, there had been rumblings about it, and this was a trying season for Sean Payton in every way, shape, or form. I mean, you started out with the hurricane stuff. You had all the injuries. You have the cap situation. You have the COVID situation, and they didn't play like he expected them to play. I remember he told me in the summer he thought this team, he really liked this team. This was a team he thought could make a playoff push, but with all the injuries and all the COVID situations, it kind of got derailed. So, look, Sean recently was married I think it was a year ago. Maybe he's going to spend time with the family, but I think he's going to coach somewhere else. That's just my gut feeling. I think this is a situation where he looked at the cap room in New Orleans, and it is a mess. There's 70-something million over the cap next year, and you look at the contracts, it's hard to get out of some of those contracts because there is so much dead money that would accelerate into the cap. So it's a real mess. They're going to be challenged like they've never been challenged before, and they've been challenged. Believe me, they've had cap issues before. But I think this might be a ploy for him to go somewhere else. Maybe Dallas, if they were to make a change. Maybe Miami. Maybe it doesn't happen this year. Maybe he sits out for a year and he comes back.
And what would the logistics of a team wanting him to coach there, what would those logistics be, and what would that compensation need to look like, in your opinion?
Well, I think it would need to be a first-round pick, maybe a couple picks. I mean, we've seen the history play out, how that's worked out in some situations. But remember, Bruce Arians walked away when he was with the Arizona Cardinals, and when he went to Tampa Bay, they worked out a compensation for like a 6th-round pick because they didn't want him. I think they swapped the 6 and the 7. They didn't want him coming back. They had already filled the job. So it just depends on how that plays out. But I would imagine if Sean Payton wanted to coach this year, I think it would be a first-round pick and something else to get him. And, you have to sit there and say what team is willing to do that, what team is willing to give up the draft pick compensation to go get him. And he's one of the best coaches in the league. He's one of the best play callers I think this league has ever seen. That's how good he's been calling plays. So he would be worth it for a team. I generally would say don't give away first-round picks. But if you could get him for a late 1, mid 1, then maybe you go do that if you're the Miami Dolphins or another team.
Yeah, you mentioned the Dallas Cowboys, who don't have an opening as of now, but there are people beating that drum to try to replace Mike McCarthy because of how things ended there in Dallas. What would be the best fit, in your opinion, for Sean Payton if he were to coach somewhere else?
Oh, I think Dallas would be a great fit for him. I think, having a ready-made offense with Dak Prescott and those receivers and that offensive line in the running game would be perfect for him. He would be a great addition to that team. He's a great play caller. I think he'd really amp up the offense. Now, Kellen Moore's done some good things with the offense, but Sean Payton, like I said earlier, one of the best who's ever called plays, and he would be great for Dak Prescott and that offense. I think Dallas would be ideal. Hey, you know what? Miami, you sit there and you say, what about the Dolphins? But can he get Tua to play to a higher level? That's to be determined if he were to get the job. I think it'd be a real challenge for him, and I know Sean likes challenges. He's one of those guys that loves to be presented with challenges. That's why he liked this team this year. Nobody thought they'd be any good, and here they were at one point pushing for a playoff berth before all the injuries and all the COVID situations.
We should hear from the New Orleans Saints and Sean Payton at some point today. There is a reported press conference that's going to happen at some point. You originally brought this up 8 days ago because we were talking about the best fits for the Chicago Bears, and that's when you brought up Sean Payton. Are the Bears his best fit, in your opinion, if he coaches elsewhere?
You know what? I believe Sean Payton is the coach. All the vacant options that are open right now, he would be the best fit because he is that type of mind when it comes to football. But we also have to understand and look at this situation, with open eyes, understanding and knowing who his mentor is, Chris. It's Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells and Sean Payton, they're tied to the hip. He looks up to Bill Parcells. If you look at what Bill Parcells did in his coaching career at one point in time, removing himself from an organization just to be able to go to another organization, I foresee the same thing potentially happening with Sean Payton. So basically, what we're seeing today is Sean Payton removing himself from the New Orleans Saints, but he already has a team in mind that he plans on coaching, that he would like to coach. You don't make this move out of nowhere, unless you already have a quality option waiting for you. And Sean Payton is that guy, me personally. So there's not a fit that's not good for Sean Payton. It's all about what he wants to do, where he wants to coach. And I believe, Chris, he already knows exactly where he wants to coach and who's going with him. That's what my gut is telling me.
Does that mean,
again.
we're going to have to listen to your gut this time because you were right last week. Does that mean you think he's going to coach this upcoming season, next season, the 2022 season?
It's 50-50. As you stated with Pete Prisco, an organization will have to give up some type of draft capital to get Sean Payton, right? And looking at the open jobs right now, the teams that have the most to give definitely will be a quality suitor to get Sean Payton. So I'll tell you this much, Chris. Let me listen to my gut once again. There's a 50-50 chance he will coach, right, this season. It's all about the draft capital and what the New Orleans Saints can get in return. But I'll tell you this for sure. Sean Payton is not walking away to never coach again. He will coach again. The biggest question is, will it be in 2022? But like I said, Chris, the move that we saw happen today, there's another move following that move. And you don't remove yourself from a sound structured situation unless you believe you have something better waiting for you. 3 years, $45 million is what he's walking away from. All the say-so over the organization, all the personnel decisions is going through him. If he walks away from this situation, that situation he had in New Orleans, he believes he has something better waiting for him, and eventually he will be able to show us all what that situation is. So my gut is telling me he may coach this year, he might not coach this year, but he already knows where he's going to coach when that time comes. You better believe it. And can I say something to you? I think it may be a team in the AFC.
You sound like a guy who actually knows what's good. Like your gut, I feel like your gut might actually know exactly where he's going. So an AFC team, all right, wheels are turning here. B-Mac, you've got so much, you didn't play for him, right? I mean, you played Pittsburgh in Arizona. You didn't play for Sean Payton, but I can tell you have so much respect for him. And we all know he's a great coach and he's widely respected. Why do you think, what has made him such a great coach in the NFL? And why do you think eventually he might end up in the Hall of Fame?
He's a player's coach. He's relatable to players, not just on the offensive end, but the defensive end as well. And I love his personality, just watching him as an opposing player, watching him as a fan of the game right now. He's an aggressive guy. You know what I mean? And his team, they have the same image that he has. When you watch them play with the energy, how physical they are. Think about this. We've seen oftentimes Sean Payton talking trash to opposing players. Most coaches don't do that. They stay in a shell. They don't get all the way involved. He's emotionally involved, cursing out opposing players, cursing out referees. We love that as players. He's authentic. Some guys, when they become a new head coach, they change who they are as an individual. Most players don't like that. Be who you are. Be who you was before you became the face of the franchise. And that's why we've seen so much success tied to Sean Payton. And I, for one, would love to see him continue to coach in the National Football League. That's good for the game. It's good for the sport because he's authentic and he does it his way. He does it his way. So I understand people saying he has TV deals waiting on him. No, Sean, stop that. Your personality, your character, it's not deserving to be in a studio. You can't get involved in the game like he does. Stay on the sideline. Stay on the sideline and keep cursing out opposing players who come at you the wrong way. We love that. That's what players love. So that's why I respect him. Number one, he has the numbers that commands respect. But you see how he goes about his job every day, and he does it the right way. And he's all about winning. So you have to respect that. Even if you're a rival of the New Orleans Saints or Sean Payton, at the end of the day, you respect greatness. And that's who he is as a coach.
That's Bryant McFadden, two-time Super Bowl champion. Ton of respect for Sean Payton. And he's got his ear to his gut. Last week, his gut said Sean Payton's not going to coach the Saints anymore. This week, his gut says he's going to coach somewhere else very soon. And he thinks it'll be in the AFC, not the NFC. Bryant, thank you so much for the time.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.